The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Everett, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 39317. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting first at the front bumper on the officer side, you'll find your mechanical siren in the bumper notch. Moving just inside that location, you'll find dual tow hooks protruding through the face of the front bumper. These are direct pull, 6,000 pounds only, operational use, not intended for towing your vehicle. Located directly in the center is your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving now to the outer edge on the driver's side, face of the front bumper, dual air horns. As we move up on top of the bumper extension, you'll find a swivel discharge on the officer side, along with the D handle, storage location for your front hose load. As we move to the face of the cab, on the lower section just under the headlight structure, you'll find your emergency warning lights, part of the lower emergency warning lights. Moving now to the outer edge of the cab is where you'll find your marker turn indicator. Just inside that location is the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Directly above that, emergency warning lights. As we move to the windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving out to the A-pillar, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Let's move up onto the top of the brow area where you'll find your identification clearance lights and then also your forward-facing scene light white light. Just above that, you'll find your Opticom, and then up onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. On the side of the light bar, you'll find slightly raised GO lights. These are controlled from within inside the cab on the officer and driver side. Let's take a look at the side of the vehicle, full view, and then we'll start with the cab section next, starting first with the front wheel, where you'll find a visual sight gauge into the center of the axle, Goodyear tires, and an Alcoa wheel. As we move to the front bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, and then moving into the step well into the front driver's area, you'll find your shoreline power and then also an air outlet inlet. Moving up onto the body section, you'll find your marker turn indicator light on the A-pillar along with your side-facing camera. The door locks are easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are your keyed door lock and latch combination. Right next to that are the grab handles for gaining entry and exit, maintaining 3 points of contact. Over the front axle, you'll find a roll-up compartment door for getting inside the space, and then also emergency warning light just above that and a side-facing scene light. To the rear, you'll find your LED water tank level indicator. Let's move on to the pump panel area, just a quick look, and then we'll come back to that in just a few moments. Let's focus in on the body section next. Just in front of the axle and to the rear of the axle are your folding wheel chocks. In front of the axle, you'll find your marker turn indicator light, and above the rear axle, a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving to the rear, you'll find a side-facing scene light in the upper right-hand corner of the hatch area. Let's move on to the rear of the apparatus next. We'll start down at the emergency warning brake turn reverse light cluster on both the passenger and driver side. You have 2 fold down steps on each side, right side and left side, for gaining access to the hose bed area, along with a cup switch for the hose bed lights, 2 2.5-inch rear discharges, a center mount backup camera which is recessed, and then also 2 sets of emergency warning lights on the left and on the right side. At the very top, you'll find rear-facing scene lights and a traffic advisor embedded in the cover of the hose bed area. There are 3 hose bed dividers located within inside the hose bed area. Let's move on next to the passenger side of the vehicle. Same configuration and layout that we have on the driver's side as the passenger side, except for this side in the rear body section. We have the ladder rack, which contains your 24-foot extension and 14-foot roof. Also on this side, you'll find your exhaust located just in front of the rear axle. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move down to the midsection, we'll come back to this in great detail. Moving on to the cab area, same configuration and layout would like to point out just on the A-pillar, you'll find a side-facing camera. Let's move now to a couple of images here of the front bumper extension. As we can see, the swivel discharge located here. This is a water foam capable discharge. As we look into the compartment storage area, D-handle gains you access into this space. Let's go ahead and move now into the driver's space, where you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information. These are located just below the latch, and then also a window control and grab handle. We do have an additional pocket located here for additional reference material. As we move to the front stepwell, you'll find your shoreline inlet, and then also an air inlet, and then a controlled air inlet outlet with control valve regulator. Let's move into the driver's space. When plugged into shoreline power at the base of the seat, your battery status system will illuminate, indicating battery status, which is located here. I'd also like to point out the yellow placard here on the engine cowling. This is for the City of Everett, manufactured by Pierce, indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. This also houses the VIN number and all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and also fluid type. At the floorboard, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal. And as we move up from this location, about the left knee of the operator, you'll find your master battery switch, your tech module, and then also the engine transmission ABS diagnostic port. Along with some switches down at the very bottom, for example, we'll find the ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit, along with your display port, and then also a Q2B, which is your mechanical siren cutout switch. As we move to the dash area, let's take a look where you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions from moving from road to pump, and then also instructions from moving from pump to road. Just as a reminder, when engaging the pump for pump operations prior to leaving the cab, you need 2 green indicators illuminating. First, pump engaged, and then also OK to pump. Let's move just to the right of this location. You'll find your mirror control for the flat and convex mirror for both left and right side. Also, as we move to the dash cluster, you'll start on the left with your ignition and start switch. Also a switch just inside of that called EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights, along with a headlight switch and panel switch. To the right, opposite side of the column, the OK to engage your high idle and high idle indicator. As we move to the dash cluster, you'll find your transmission, oil level, def level, and water temp. On the left side of the cluster, on the right, you'll find volts, fuel, front air, and rear air. Tachometer and speedometer located directly in the center. Diagnostic information via tally lights will display above and below the tachometer and speedometer, with diagnostic information in the center with a digital display. As we look to the right, just pointing out your yellow diamond, which is the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. That are the rear spring brakes right next to your Allison transmission pad. Let's move up to the very top section where you'll find your display screen. This is a touch screen and also function button. Tremendous amount of information right at your fingertips. Also, you'll find the windshield wiper wash and push for fluid. As we move to the switch panel, you'll find your windshield wiper, momentary opticom, engine brake on and off, and an engine brake setting switch for low, medium, and high. Right next to that is the high beam flash and then your mirror heat. Let's move down to the Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout, informational note to pump and drive. As we move to the right, you'll find climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Slightly to the right again, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style, and then also USB-A. You'll also find a radio push to talk on the angled portion here, which is part of your Go light with this construction module right here on the very front. This is an on-off switch and then also the control joystick. We do have additional radio holder and also cup holders. As we move to the officer side, you'll find your Go light control, once again on and off switch, and then a joystick for controlling the light. As we move to the rear portion of the front engine cowling, you'll find additional glove storage. And then also, do not move your apparatus. If you find this light flashing, it's indicating you may have a compartment door open. As we move overhead of the driver's position, let's take a look at the yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 6.5 inches, length of the vehicle 30 feet 10 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 40,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may alter this placard, please update the placard for the operator. Moving to the right, we have some switch panels, starting first with your emergency lights. We have Emergency Master, Lower Warning Only, Opticom, your air horn switch, a load manager, and then also a siren brake for your mechanical siren. Additionally, to the right, we have all of our white lights for driver's side flood, front flood, deck lights, officer flood, lower side scene, and perimeter lights. Moving just to the right of this location, this is where you're going to find your Wheelin' Traffic Advisor. It's the module that controls the light on the rear of the hose bed. Additional storage locations here with these storage pockets. And then just a quick look toward the rear of the apparatus from the front section, where you'll find your forward-facing seats and also storage location. Let's take a look behind the driver's seat, where you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, your battery charger will activate, maintaining battery status. As we move to the exterior, this is the roll-up compartment door, dry deck material inside. Moving down to the front axle, you'll find Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge. Let's move now into the crew cab area, where you'll find affixed to the door panel on the crew cab area those same safety warning placard information: door lock and latch combination, window control, grab handle. As we look overhead in the crew space, you'll find your air conditioning unit, push on and off white or red lens lights, and also your David Clark headset system. We also move to the interior, where we have the fold down seats located on the rear wall of the cab, with additional storage locations in between those locations. We do have box lights underneath those seats. And then as we move toward the forward section, we have additional storage. This is at the roofline area behind the driver and officer seat. 12-volt access via barrel style on top of the EMS compartments located here. And then same thing on the opposite side. We do have a lip on the very top section. And then also Shoreline Power outlets are located on the sides of those EMS compartments. As we move to the center, lift and turn latch gains you access to the rear portion of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Additional Shoreline outlet, this is on the officer side rear area. As we move toward the top of that EMS compartment, you'll find cup and radio holder, and then also 12-volt access via barrel style. Fold down seat, this is on the officer side. And as we look forward to that location, you'll find storage location here on the rear cab wall. Adjustable shelf inside. As we move toward the roof section, this is the location for your David Clark headset system. And now we'll move into the pump panel area on the exterior, starting first with your crosslay. We have netting restraint to hold the crosslay. Looks like we have two hose bundles on this location forward, and then also a crosslay to the rear of that location. Grab handle, and then also your nozzle cup for your booster line. As we move to the pump panel, you'll find a couple of items here. First, let's start with a warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Because those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of an entanglement. Along with your Husky 12 foam system specifications and operating instructions. In the gray area, you'll find your master intake gauge and master discharge gauge. In between the two of those are the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They're currently plugged and are for testing purposes. Pressure throttle governor, and then also an audible speaker located in the upper section, along with your switch light panels, and then also an indicator that your pump has been properly engaged. Let's move down just to the lower section, which is the upper section of the pump panel, to where we'll start next. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner, first with the blue module. This is the water tank level indicator. The foam module will be the red indicator, and then the red module is your Husky 12 foam system. As you can see, we have clearly identified and color-coded all of the discharges, starting first up at the very right-hand corner with your front bumper, which is foam capable, hose reel, and then also the left rear. As we move down, you'll find electric valves controlling the 3 discharges located in the lower section. As we move to the middle, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule placard, and then also you'll find the number 1 driver's side discharge, which is also foam capable. As we move to the right, you'll find an additional electronic valve. This controls the deck gun. And then you'll also find your fire pump primer, push to prime, air prime. As a reminder, at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. As we move down, you'll find two 2.5-inch discharges located in this area, along with your air horn and reel rewind. We do have a label here indicating warning, pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, you'll find the tank fill, and then just below that, you'll find the driver number 2 discharge and the tank 2 pump. Moving further down, just a warning placard here indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. Let's move just down to the left and we'll cover the next set of items. You'll find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet locally controlled via a ball valve female inlet, and then all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains across the very bottom section, along with the driver's side auxiliary inlet drain just below the 2.5. Moving to the right, you'll find your tank to pump in the upper right-hand corner, also a warning placard here indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. This is also the auxiliary foam inlet located here, and then also we have a pan door located in the lower section. Let's go ahead and take a look behind the pan door. This is for your foam operations. It's not only for foam operations, but also for foam fill. There is a placard on the back side of the door that does match the yellow handle just inside and behind the panel for either operation or fill location. As we move to the bottom, you'll find the foam pump drain and foam pump intake drain. As we move to the running board, you'll find a cutout located here for your hose storage for your large diameter pump inlet. Let's go ahead and take a look. There is a few placards within this area. First, let's start with your pump placard. This is a Hale QMax 200. As we move to the right, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left-hand side is the associated GPM, and on the right side is the associated RPM, with a governed speed of 2,400 RPM. Let's move now into the body section next. Let's move into the compartments. This is just in front of the rear axle, where you'll find 2 adjustable shelves and then 2 pull-out trays in the lower section. As we move to the upper compartment area, you'll find shoreline power outlet and then also 12-volt bus panel. As we move to the compartments themselves, in the lower section you'll find a pull-out tray, the release mechanism for that. They're both located on the right-hand side. As we move to the over wheel compartment, we'll find an adjustable shelf in this area. And then also as we move just to the forward section of the rear axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 2 bottles with retaining straps. Moving to the rear axle, Alcoa wheel and Goodyear tire. Moving now just to the rear portion of the body in the axle area here, SCBA bottle storage for 1 bottle along with your ultra low sulfur diesel, which is the silver cap. As we move the flap downward, we expose the 4.5 def cap, which is blue in color. Let's move to the rear compartment. This is the location for SCBA storage location, adjustable shelving, and then also a pull-out tray. In the lower section, once again, you'll find the release mechanism for this located on the lower right-hand side. Pictured here is the foam pickup tube. Let's move now around to the full compartment access here. All compartments open on the driver's side. Let's move to the rear of the apparatus with all compartments open here. We'll start first in the upper left-hand corner. We have storage for a folding ladder and then also rubbish hook. As we move to the lower section, folding down steps and then also rear deck light, which is in the cupped switch. There are 3 movable hose bed dividers along with your backboard storage located at the very top section. To the right-hand side, additional storage. This is into the hatch compartment area. As we move to the center section, grab handle, and then just below that, a recessed backup camera. 2 shelves located here. The lower section is a pull-out tray. Release located just under on the right-hand side. 2 2.5-inch discharges also located at the rear. As we move to the ladder rack, this is now displayed in its full deployed position, where you can see you have a 24-foot extension ladder, a 14-foot roof ladder, and then also a long-handled pike pole on the very top section. We'll go ahead and stow the ladder rack and move into the compartments next, starting first with the rear compartment, SCBA bottle pack storage, adjustable shelf, and 2 pull-out trays. Once again, release located on the lower right-hand side. Let's move to the over wheel compartment, where you'll find a tool board. D-handle gains you access into this space. Once the tool board has opened, it will lock into position. The lock release is located on the hinge side, and there are some pegboard located on the rear wall. As we move to the rear of the axle, SCBA bottle storage for 3 bottles with retaining straps, Goodyear tire, and Alcoa wheel. To the forward section, you'll find SCBA bottle storage with retaining straps again. Just to point out, extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen. Be careful where you park your vehicle. As we move to the forward compartment, adjustable shelving, and then also 2 pull-out trays. In addition, you have shoreline outlets located within this. When plugged into shoreline, this outlet will be active. Release located on the shelf in the lower right-hand corner. And then on the very bottom, floor mounted, you'll find the release just under on the right-hand side also. As we move to the midsection here, we've covered kind of the cross-lay area. We'll go into the next section, which is the pump panel itself. As we move to the left pump panel, you'll find 2 switches here. One booster reel rewind, and then also the passenger side scene light. In the pan door itself is where you'll find the fill location for your hydraulic rack and hydraulic reservoir. Moving now to the pump panel itself, just down from this location, we have 2 electronic valves. The valves on this side are referred to as electric. We have a 2.5 inch and then also a second 2.5 inch in large diameter. This is also the location of your powered equipment rack. There are danger placards on this, and then also instructions for raising and lower the powered equipment rack, along with a warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll also find some additional warning placards here, entanglement hazard, and then also you'll find your cab lift. There are instructions for its operation, along with some caution and danger placard information, along with an activate and also a protected switch for raise and lower. As we move to the upper right-hand corner, you'll find a warning here. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. This is also location of your large diameter discharge, which is an electric valve. Moving now just behind the pan door here, this is where you'll find your relief valve. And then across the bottom, you'll also find a 2.5 inch auxiliary inlet locally controlled via the ball valve and all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move to the running board, you'll also find a cutout located here for hose storage, dry deck material, and Velcro tie downs. This is for your large diameter intake hose. As we move now into the cab area, just a reminder, affixed to the door panel are safety and warning placard information. Also the door lock and latch combination, window control, and a grab handle. Let's move into the rear cab area, where you'll find at the top a grab handle. As we move overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, your air conditioning, and then also your David Clark head system. Moving now just behind the officer seat, you'll find additional storage. This is at the roofline level. And now let's move to the exterior, where you'll find that roll-up compartment door, dry deck material inside this area also. Once again, to the front axle, visual sight gauge into the center, Alcoa wheel, and Goodyear tire. Now moving into the officer space, once again, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information located here. There's also a pocket here for additional resource storage, along with your grab handle and window control. Once again, the vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, and it's an airbag. That's what the warning placard is indicating here for mounting of equipment. Please don't mount any equipment within that area. At the floor, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal. There's also a brake located on the lower right-hand side next to the A pillar, and then also a pull-out tray for your MDT. 12-volt access via barrel style and USB-A. And then as we look overhead of the officer position, we do have some switch panels located here. Let's cover those next. Starting first on the far right-hand side with your driver's flood, front flood, deck lights, officer flood, perimeter lights, and siren brake. The siren brake is for the mechanical siren. I would like to point out you will have these red and white candy cane style labels located throughout the vehicle. These are indicating that there is spare wiring behind this panel. Please do not remove the label until your maintenance team has had an opportunity to evaluate. Let's move just to the left of this location where you'll find your siren control and also PA system. We also have some additional storage here. And now let's go ahead and move exterior, and we'll take a look at the top section of the truck. Starting first in the dunnage and hatch area. Full view. As you can see, the yellow diamonds that are reflective indicating the edge of the walking surface for firefighter safety. Here we have 2 hatches on the officer side and then also 2 hatches on the driver's side. As you can see on the driver's side, this is the same location that your 10-foot folding ladder is stored, and then also your rubbish hook. Hose bed now in the open position. We can see the backboard storage. Moving now forward into the dunnage area. This is where you'll find the top fill for your water tank, and then also top fill for your foam tank. I would like to point out on the foam tank, we do have a warning placard here indicating not to mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the forward section, you'll find your master stream and then also a booster line. Let's cover the booster line here quick. There is a free tension spool and also manual rewind where your crank inserts into that in case you have a motor failure. Into the Husky 12, you'll find the reservoir located here. In the bottom section, you'll find a shutoff valve and also visual sight gauge for the fluid amount. This is for your master stream. It is an on-off electric valve. And considering in the cab area, we consider this a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these placards indicating that it is a non-walking surface. As we move through the next set of images, these are going to be of the chassis and also engine. There'll be limited audio in this section. These photos are just for your additional information. Congratulations, Everett, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 39317. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.